What's up everybody? In the last episode we hit our 40-point milestone, only 10 points away from our next equipment slot and item sacrifice. Our current task is to obtain steel boots, dropped by Pyre Fiends and Harpy Swarms at a rate of 1 in 128. Pyre Fiends are unlocked at 30 Slayer, while Harpy Swarms are unlocked at 33, so Pyre Fiends it is. We started off this challenge by making around 1,000 iron knives, as this is really the only option I have for training range at the moment. I currently don't have any ammo unlocked besides myth javelins, and that's not exactly usable. I need to get 30 range for the Chompy quest, and I also need to avoid training melee as much as possible. The more melee training I do, the faster my combat level is going to increase. Mage and range are going to be my most viable methods of training Slayer at the moment, which coincidentally works out for me because I'm seriously lacking in the melee defense department. So, after a few simple Slayer tasks, I decided my best XP rates would come from a higher level Slayer master, so we set out to Canifis for a new task. Surely a task from a 20 combat Slayer master isn't going to be too difficult for us, right? Right. Now typically, Banshees are a pretty simple task, assuming you have earmuffs to protect from their raging hormonal screams. However, with Slayer gear being on the wheel and my helmet slot locked, I can't wear earmuffs. Normally, Banshees attack with a magical-based melee attack, but without earmuffs, their attack becomes a magical attack that they can use at range. Every time they hit me, my stats are going to be drained significantly, and after a few hits, my magic level becomes too low to even attack anymore. After a bit of experimentation and luring, I managed to find somewhat of a safe spot and kill a couple Banshees. But this process was so tedious, I decided I was better off resetting my task. And this is where I hit yet another brick wall. Turiel seems to think my task is too easy as it is, and he refuses to give me another one. And I can't even get a Wilderness Slayer task without first completing this one. So at this point, I'm left with no other option. Find a way to kill Banshees without earmuffs. If I can't accomplish this task, then I'll officially be stuck, and that's not gonna happen. So I headed back to Banshees to try and discover a new way to complete my task. And boy have I done it. I am proud to present to you all a method that I guarantee no one in RuneScape has used to kill Banshees. There is literally no reason to kill them without earmuffs, and it shouldn't be possible, but goddammit, I found a way. I discovered that there are two different Banshees that will wander outside of this little room and into this hallway here. From there, I can tag the Banshee and immediately run past the crawling hands back to the entrance doorway. These Banshees will follow me all the way to the doorway, where depending on which Banshee I tagged, I can just stand one tile outside its range and kite it. I'll show you examples of both Banshee spawns so you can see what I mean. We'll call this one Banshee number 1. I drag Banshee to the doorway, where I have two specific tiles marked. The furthest tile is the tile I need to stand on to be completely out of range of both Banshees. Banshee number 2 has a slightly longer range, and because of this, it's easy to tell the difference between the two. If I stand on the first tile and my Banshee loses aggro, then I know I've lured Banshee number 1. If the Banshee keeps coming towards me, then I know I have Banshee number 2 lured, and I'll have to stand on my second marked tile. Once Banshee number 1 loses its aggro, it's safe for me to begin kiting it by casting out a spell and then clicking back outside its attack range. If you do this properly, you can kill Banshees without earmuffs and never get hit. It is a bit slower than traditional methods because of the luring aspect and waiting for the spawns to come into range, but it is a completely valid method for completing this task. For integrity's sake, I recorded the majority of this task. I don't want anyone out there to think I'm cheating and taking the easy way out of these tasks. If anyone else out there has ever discovered this method before me, kudos to you, truly. All in all, this task took a little over 2 hours to complete, which isn't really all that terrible considering I started with 60. At roughly 2 minutes per kill, these Banshees felt more like a boss task than a simple level 20 combat task. I'm gonna go ahead and get another task here though, since it's now impossible for me to get Banshees back to back. Before we carry on with our task though, we're gonna make ourselves a little amulet upgrade. Making a magic amulet is gonna increase my magical accuracy by plus 10, a huge boost considering we're currently only sitting at plus 15. After Cave Crawlers, I decided getting Banshees again was not ideal in terms of XP per hour, so for my next task I decided to take a chance and tackle Wilderness Slayer, which ended up being the right move because my first task was Earth Warriors. This task was super laid back compared to Banshees. I safe spotted the entire task and never saw a PKer. We managed to get ourselves a looting bag and a decent amount of seeds and nature runes. Our final task was Spiders, another relatively simple task and right next door to the Earth Warriors. With 30 Slayer, we were finally ready to take on Pyre Fiends. For this task, I pretty much used the same method I did for Banshees. Look at this Chad up here safe spotting while I break the game with my next level PVM tactics. This one took a while, but we did eventually get the boots under the drop rate. And for the first time in this episode so far, we've gained our 41st point and we can finally spin the wheel. Amulet of Bounty. Alright, this one's pretty simple to make, we just need an opal. And complete. 42 points. And our next challenge is... an opal ring. Well, damn, it's a good thing I got 2 opals. 43 points. Next up on the wheel is... a hunter's crossbow. Sweet, this is an easily acquired shop item. 44 points. No. Fuck. Dude, there's no way. Seriously, this early? Alright, so this challenge was a bit of an oversight on my part. I completely meant for these boots to be on the mid-tier item list, and for some reason, I left all 3 pairs on the low-tier wheel. Well, now that we've spun them, there's no going back. We're gonna have to go for these. But here's what I am gonna do. It was a little naive of me to think I could just casually collect all 3 pairs of boots from medium clues this early on, so the remaining pairs of boots are going to be moved to the high tier wheel. And for the med clue boots challenge, collecting any pair will be considered a completion. After some deep thinking, I had planned on doing this anyway and talking about it later on when we got to that point, but my dumbass completely overlooked these. Now, this is not going to be an easy feat. Many of these medium clue steps are going to be locked behind quests and gear I can't access. We're going to be dropping a shit ton of clues. The best way for me to get medium clues is going to be from collecting eclectic implings. I may have to collect thousands of them before I even have a shot at getting a pair of the boots. So my best course of action is to use one of my 3 quest unlocks to complete the Lost City quest. This will give me access to Zonaris, which houses both a bank and the main entrance into Puro Puro, where I'll be spending a lot of time gathering imps. Our first completable medium clue also happened to be a musical step, which we just unlocked by entering Zonaris. Damn, never lucky. Before we end things, I want to take a moment to go over a growing concern that some of you have brought up. I realize this series has a lot of rules and exceptions, but just know that it's all for the sake of content. I want this series to be interesting and fun to play, and I don't want it to get to a point where the content I'm doing is the same as what I did in a previous episode. A few of you have expressed concern with the fact that I'll eventually have to re-obtain certain items, including boss uniques. Rehashing the same content isn't something I'm keen on doing. If I feel like that content is boring, then I won't put it in an episode. You don't have to worry about my content growing stale. This series is only going to get better the further we get. The beginning of this series is the boring part. If you're enjoying it already, then you really have nothing to worry about. So, with that being said, we're going to make another slight change to the rules. Before, I mentioned that if an item appears on the wheel that I already have, then I'll have to re-obtain that item again. This is no longer going to apply to bosses or minigames in which I've already obtained every unique. If I gather every unique item from a boss other than its pet, then I will not have to re-obtain that item. The challenge will be considered complete and a point will be granted. This way, when I do get into bossing, as long as I've obtained every item necessary from the boss, I won't have to go back until I have to acquire the pet. Hopefully this change makes more sense, and I think this is a good change to the rules and it'll keep me from rehashing the same content. This is only going to apply to boss and minigame uniques though. Normal items with multiple drop sources are still going to have to be re-obtained. And that's where we're going to leave off with this episode. I know there wasn't a whole lot of progress in this one, but I promise our next episode will be pretty exciting. Up next, medium clues.